Hey, welcome to another episode of Your Health and Faith Community. I'm your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson. And as always, on behalf of our producer, Anita Alexander, and myself, we want to thank you very much for taking out time of your day to spend with us. It's been a while. It's a new year. Seems like I haven't seen you since last year, and that's probably because I haven't seen you since last year. But we're welcome back. God blessed us. He brought us into a new year. I didn't have any New Year's resolutions. Maybe you are a resolution person. You've said in 2018, I'm not going to do what I did in 2017. My goal for 2018 is to be what God would call for me to be. And all the rest, I just said, we'll just see how they go. And let God just lead us. Listen, as you notice, there's no one sitting here with me. Well, I guess you wouldn't notice that yet because we haven't panned out, but there's no one sitting here with me. Today is just going to be you and I. Let's just call it a very intimate show with just you and I. Just you right there, and me, and just to talk to you. This is actually, we're going into our third year of doing the show. Initially, it was called Get Covered Ohio, and then we switched it to Your Health and Faith and Health Community. And this is going into our third year. And let me just thank you for 2 years of allowing us to bring you information, hopefully life-changing information, hopefully something that change the quality or improve the quality of your life. We've had a lot of wonderful guests. We've talked about everything from the marketplace, which is the Affordable Care Act, or as some people call it, Obama, or as some people don't realize that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act and vice versa. We've had a wonderful nurse doctor, which is interesting because she's a nurse with a PhD from the UC School of Nursing, to come and talk about mental health and how to deal with those in our families and those that we love, and to recognize some of the mental issues that may be taking place so that we can make sure we get help. We've had individuals come and talk about insurance, not just insurance in terms of health insurance, but life insurance. We've had people come on just talking about a number of things. So over the last 2 years, we've had a good time bringing information. I just wanted to take a little bit of time, as I said, just a little personal time to talk. We, Anita and myself, we think it's real important to get information out. The Bible actually said, my people perish for lack of information or lack of knowledge. And so we find it real important to get it out. What would be really great, call into the station and let us know that the information is helping you. If you have some suggestions on some topics that we should deal with that we haven't touched, or maybe we touched a while ago and we haven't gotten back to it, call into the station. Tell them, hey, we need Faith and Health Community to talk about this or to get this person back on. We missed it, or there's more information that we can get. Do that so we know what you need, what you're looking for, because that's important. What's the point of doing a show on information if we're not getting the information that you need? So let us know about that. I want to talk about when we had UC School of Nursing come out and talk about mental health. A lot of times in our family, a lot of times in our community, even in our jobs, there are people who are suffering with mental health issues. And there's always this stigma. When you think mental health, there's this thing where you're thinking somebody, and forgive me for using the word crazy, because that's what people think. It's not about someone has necessarily lost their mind. Mental health issues, post-traumatic stress disorder, when you're dealing with these things, it's not always something that's blown up and big and you're looking at it and you can sit there and go, wow, there's something wrong with that person. But sometimes it could be just a very quiet person. And especially if you've known them to be a very talkative person, if there's someone that you know that this is out of character, there could be some issues going on. And some of those mental health issues could result from things that have happened in the past. I know on the show we've talked about molestation, we've talked about rape, or it's been mentioned. When you look at how someone grew up in their life, a traumatic situation in their life that took place, and now it's affecting them sometimes years later. And I've used this and talked about it in the past, that I went through molestation from age 5 to age 12. And there were things that took place in my life years later that I had no idea. I did not know that it was an effect from the past. So it was great having them talk. Make sure that you talk to your family members. Make sure that you talk to your kids. Make sure you talk to your mom and your dad, especially if your mom and dad are older. Heck, if they're not older, have a conversation. Look for, now let me change this, because we don't want people running around like way back in I guess the 60s and 70s, when people were getting people committed and just because they were upset, and I remember hearing about that going on and taking people out to, I believe it was Longview out on Paddock Road. But I mean, be aware of your children, be aware of if there's a personality change, if they're becoming more withdrawn. You can look at things. Are they not eating? A person who, you can look at me. I love to eat. If all of a sudden I stop eating, somebody should be able to look at me and go, there's a problem. And so that's what Dr. Juanita was talking about when she came out, and trying to educate us to be aware of those around us. We had Marjorie Mosley, who initially she and I worked together at Enroll America, which was a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that we did outreach and education around the Affordable Care Act. And she was an organizer. I was an organizer who later on went on to become the state director, faith partner director for Enroll America. But then Marjorie went on to work with a company out of Dayton called Resolute. And she came in, we had her and one of her co-workers on the show to talk about getting enrolled in healthcare. Now, I don't know where healthcare is going to be come November when it's time for open enrollment. And to be honest, I don't know if any of us do. There's definitely a change going on. And one of the things, in case you didn't know, that was also passed along with the recent tax bill, is that the mandate to get healthcare has been removed. Now, that some people look at it as a plus, some people look at it as a minor. But what that means, basically, I'm not going to get like into the intricate details of it, and partly because I don't know all of those intricate details yet, but as soon as I do or can get somebody on the show, we can get someone, we'll talk about it. But just skimming the surface of it, is that where up until recently, it was required that everyone in the United States get health care, whether it was through your job, whether you privately got it, you got it through the marketplace, you had Medicaid, Medicare. It was a mandate that everyone be insured. Well, now it's not a mandate that everyone be insured, which for some means that fine, which was $695. So if you didn't get enrolled before the open enrollment ended in December of 17, then you will still see that fine this year, but now that's gone. So you may go, hey, that's great. I don't have to worry about the fine. I don't have to get insurance now. If you're 25 and I guess there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, maybe you go, hurrah. But I'm 57 and, I've had a heart attack. I've had congestive heart failure. I've had a little mini stroke. So for me, not having health care is really not the smartest move. But that age 18 through 34, considered the invincibles, for them, they probably think, hurrah. I'm not saying if it's bad or good. I'm just saying that mandate says you don't have to have it. That's a big change in healthcare. That's a big change in terms of getting yourself covered. I've mentioned before, one hospital bill, depending on your finances, can send you into bankruptcy. I had an $80,000 hospital bill from one time I had to go in the hospital back in 2013. $80,000. But where you are on that, that's on you, and that's what it's done. It's put the choice back into the consumer or back into the individual's hand, whether good or bad. It's different views on each side of where that is, but that's what it is. We talked about, as we had moms. Moms demand action for good gun sense in America. And hey, just a note on that, just recently over the last few weeks, I am now the local faith outreach lead for Moms Demand Action. But we had them on, and it was great, I think, because so many people, some people have heard about moms, and you're not really sure what all they do. There's a good opportunity for you to go to their website and get an idea of what Moms does, because there's some misconceptions about it, and it's a political thing on some ends that people have their misconceptions about. And so, you know, we're not going to go into that part, but you should check out Moms. We had them on. We had a great conversation. Heard about a campaign that they're instituting through every town, and it's called Be Smart. And what Be Smart is talking about being smart with your guns. It's about locking up your guns, getting the proper lock boxes. You know, the gone are the days where the gun should be under the pillow or in the drawer, especially when you have young children. Because to young children, a gun is just a plaything. And it's funny, we have caps that on your medication. Sometimes we have trouble getting the caps off. So we have safety caps on medication. People child-proof their home where they can't unlock the door, open the door and get out, or they can't fall down the stairs. But are we being smart with the safety? This isn't about a Second Amendment. This is about being smart in our house with our youth. So it was great having Moms on the show. Like I said, I'm just reflecting back over the couple of years and the different people that we've had the opportunity to have on the show, and to hear the different things that they're dealing with and that's out in the community. And it's sad, and there's no cue card, so I can't remember the young man's name that I was talking about the insurance, and somebody that you may want to contact, because insurance is more than just making sure you can go to the hospital. You know, insurance is also looking at your cars, looking at your house. There's some investment into insurance. And the more we know about that, the more we know how to invest our money and what's a good plan, what's not a good plan. You know, until the Affordable Care Act and we had the marketplace, very few people knew about buying insurance privately. You either got it through your job, right? Employment, and usually your job will offer sometimes just one, maybe other than two plans. And so all you had to do was pick between the two, and it was all there. Sometimes they had dental and vision. Sometimes dental and vision was separately. Sometimes they didn't have it at all, right? But you only had to worry about a couple. Well, with the marketplace, now in some cases you may have 175 plans to look at and try to decide which plan works best for you. So that opened up a door for us to talk about the plans, and he added a different piece that wasn't just around health care. And I'm sure Anita, who saves me every time I bumble through something, that she'll be able to put up his name, and then you'll know who he is and who he was, because I've forgotten. Then we had someone come in about health and holistic health care and exercising. And that's what we want to do. That's why your faith and health community is about what makes us healthy. How do we have a better life? How do we have a life has better quality to it, the quality of our lifestyle? In our spiritual life, we've had ministers come on. We had Pastor Darren Wilson, who we had right at the end of the year, who's going to come back actually. And one of the shows, he's actually going to do a Bible study on him and his wife, Evangelist Wilson. They're going to come out and do a Bible discussion. But we've had pastors come out so we could talk about your spiritual health, because that's important too. We had an imam that came on earlier in the year, Rashid, who came on to talk. We've had Deron Hunter. And a very interesting thing about Deron, he and I work together. We're community outreach advocates through the City of Cincinnati Office of Human Relations. And Deron came out, and him and Derek Rogers, they both played football in high school and in college. And so they were talking to the young, giving information over the show to the young men that played football, or to the parents, talking about, what it would be like when their kids transition from high school to college, if that's where it's going. But Deron also, through our program, through the Community Outreach Advocates, he takes busloads of young men and women to the different universities. Some of the young men and women that he takes never been on a college tour. Some didn't even think that they would be eligible. Or let me put it this way. College wasn't necessarily in their plan, not from an academic standpoint, because they had the academics. It just wasn't something that was being pushed. Sometimes it's not being pushed to these young people. So Deron gets them. He takes them to the colleges, to the universities, let them see the campus. He has it set up. He's an alumni of Morehead University. So they go there. He's taking them up to Ohio State, just different places to give these young people a look at college life. And it's awesome because the way he communicates with these schools, when they get there, they greet them, they know them, they're ready, they receive them, and definitely make them feel special. So a shout out to you, Deron Hunter, for the work that you do. I work with you every day, so I know where your passion is. And so I get to see you beyond a camera or beyond being on the bus, and I know that that's your heart. So I definitely want to shout that out to you. We had Sierra Harper, Pastor Sierra Harper, come in, and her and her husband, Pastor Donnie Harper. And we've had them both on the show talking about what they do, their ministry, the love that they have for the people. I'm going to put this out now. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you've seen for about the last 3 weeks, I've been promoting or pushing on my page a coming in 2018 evening of Broadway with Harper. Well, that's Sierra. That's Pastor Sierra. Phenomenal vocalist. I mean, phenomenal vocalist. If you know her, you know that her vocals are awesome. If you've ever come to Cincinnati Black Theater's Black Nativity, for probably the last 8 years or so, she's been one of the featured vocalists in that. So you know that her vocals are really, really great. But Pastor Donnie also has a clothing line, Good Company. And you've probably seen that. And I wish that I had a shirt that I could show it to you. But that's something that maybe Anita Alexander, if you don't know it, she's the producer. She put this thing together. She's an awesome person. She can probably pull that up and put that so you can see what Good Company was. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm rushing through. It may sound like I'm rambling because it sounds like that to me in my head, but that's in my head, so that could be a scary place all by itself. I just wanted to kind of make sure I was able to get all of this information out. So over the years, like I said, 2 years, if you're watching us, rather regularly or every now and then, you can always go to YouTube and pull us up and look at the shows. In fact, go to YouTube, pull us up, and look at the shows. If it's a show you've already seen, listen, I guarantee you missed something in the show, because I'll look at them sometimes and I'll realize I missed something, and I'm the one doing the interviews going, wow, did I talk about that? I didn't know that. So, go look us up on YouTube and check it out. Again, I want to mention, just to reiterate, call in to Waycross Media and say, hey, that faith and health community show that you have, that broadcast out of there, it'd be great if they could rerun a show, or if they could get this topic. I'd really like to hear more about this, or bring a particular guest back. We'd be glad to reach out to them and get them. I want to mention, hey, we're coming up on Martin Luther King Day. I had a dream. Okay, I'm not even going to try it because I can't sound like Martin Luther King. But I hope you guys are going to celebrate. I believe it's Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope you guys celebrate. I'm off work Monday, so I hope you're off work. Look, they have the Martin Luther King breakfast down at the Freedom Center. And then there's the march that will go from Freedom Center, Fountain Square, down to Music Hall that they do every year. If you're doing nothing, or if you're doing something, just cancel it. Come on down to the breakfast, or come down to the march and see the things that are going on in Music Hall. It's been every year, so a lot of you have probably already been there. But in just acknowledging Martin Luther King and the sacrifice that he made, that his family made, for him to be out on the street fighting for a lot of things for us, for civil rights, for civil rights, for equal rights. You know, one of the things, let me just mention this. I'm not going to get into a history lesson here, but sometimes I'm not even sure if everybody understands that Martin Luther King, yes, he marched for civil rights, but you know, one of the things about Martin Luther King is that he wanted rights. He wanted everybody, all encompassed. He wanted everybody to have a good life. He felt that rights and things should be well for all. And that's where we need to be. We live in a crazy world. We live in a crazy, crazy world. And my hope for you, as the hope for me, is that your life has quality, has meaning, and that old saying, if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall down for anything, or you'll lay down for it, whichever way it is. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. There we go. That your life, that you are doing something in your life spiritually, that you have connected with God, because that's important. That you have your prayer life, because that's important. And that you are looking at the world around you. I believe it was Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world today. And that's powerful. Be the change you want to see. If you got an issue with equality, be the change in the world that you want to see. That's really deep. So we're hoping that wherever your life is going, we hope that you are living it to the fullest with God as the head of it. Let me say that again. With God as the head of it. There's a lot of celebration Monday. Partake in something. Look, if you're off work, I know when we get a day off, we want to use it as a day to lounge around. Take half the day. Go to something. Go to one of the many events around the city and celebrate. Then take the other half a day and relax. But do something, right? So listen, I'm having fun talking with you. I have no idea where I am on time. But one of the last things I want to say before we get ready to go away is that the enemy's job is to kill, steal, and destroy. And listen, he does his job well. He's on the job, never late, never takes a sick day. Our job is to be the light. Our job is to let our light shine. So whatever you may be going through, if you're sick, if you're having financial issues, domestic issues, marriage issues, issues with your teenager, issues with your neighbor, understand that the enemy is pushing all of that because he needs to throw you off. So whatever issues you're having, take it to God. Whatever situation you're in, take it to God. If you're sick right now, you're waiting on your healing, take it to God. Listen, I'm not saying don't take your medication because I'd never tell you that. But with your medication, pray. Each pill you take, each inhaler that you inhale, each injection that you give, pray over that. If your children are acting up, pray over them at night when they're asleep. If you're having trouble with your husband or your wife, pray over them. There was a reason that you came together. Sometimes you just got to reinforce that. Pray over them. Heck, get some oil and anoint them. Just go to God. Just look to God. Stevie Wonder wrote a song, Have a Talk with God. And there's a verse that said, there are those of us who let the problems of today lead us to conclusions that our life is not the way. But every problem has an answer, and if yours you cannot find, then talk it over with God. He'll give you peace of mind. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. And it says he's the only free psychiatrist that's known throughout the world for solving problems of all men, women, little boys and girls. So if you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. So if you're going through something, talk to God. If it's too much to handle, talk to God. But let me say this, don't be afraid to go get counseling. God gave a man and a woman the ability to learn, retain, and regurgitate the knowledge that they've gotten to help us when we're in a situation. Don't be afraid to go. Pray on your way to see your therapist. So listen, this has been good. I hope you've enjoyed our talk or my talk as much as I've enjoyed talking. And I hope that I said something that touches you, reminds you of a show that maybe there was information there that you had forgotten that it was about. You go back and check it out. Hope I motivated, again, giving information. What the Bible says, my people perish for lack of information, for lack of knowledge. So I hope I've given you a little bit of knowledge, and I hope I've given you a little bit of information. I do want to say this, and I'm very thrilled about this, that the young lady, the young girl, Alexandria Thompson, the 9-year-old that was murdered last year in her home, that almost the year to the date that yesterday they made the arrest, innocent until proven guilty, but they made the arrest, and it's been a year of investigating. So at least some peace for the family, and I pray peace for you. So listen, as always, again, I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson, and on behalf of myself and our producer, Anita Alexander, we want to thank you for taking time, spend with us, listen to us, and again, we hope we give you some information that works for you, that improves your quality of life. So I want to say, stay faithful, stay healthy. God bless you.